calling from Canada this morning. It's minus 30 degrees centigrade. And I was staying at a friend's house. And when I came here to my home to do this, it took like 10 minutes for my car to start because it was so cold outside. But
Coach Pierre Lafontaine. Coach,
good
the
morning.
floor is yours.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Dennis, for organizing this. The reason for me to even consider having these discussions with coaches from around the world is that I'm a strong believer that you are the only reason that sports can evolve, that kids could get inspired, that countries could win medals at the Olympics. And I'm going to bring it up through the discussion here. Like, you don't need anything special to be an Olympic championship coach. You just need to get up every morning and get ready to inspire kids and outwork anybody in the world. So to me, whether it's swimming or anything else you do, if you're going to do it, especially working with kids and working with even adults and seniors, you got to remember that your window of inspiration for people is not very big. And some people are ready to go whenever they're ready to go. And some people will take a long time to be inspired. But, at the end, my last point will also be, please never give up on a kid or on an adult that wants to get better. They might not go the way you want it to go, but it's certainly everybody responds in different fashions and different ways. But, when you inspired one life, you inspire a world, because you never know what this person could do on the long run. If you look at my photo on the poster that was taken a few years ago, so that's the real me today now. But we get up. I know I get up every morning, including this morning, excited that maybe one of you guys will inspire a kid that you never know where they come from, rich or poor, or tall or skinny or long, or, they might inspire your country. Because we're not in the swimming business. We are in the people business. So please remember that. We're in the people business. And teachers are teachers, and they do it. Coaches are coaches. Spiritual leaders are spiritual leaders. We're all the same people. Try to make this world incredible. If you ever have a chance to go back in line a couple of days ago in Davos in Switzerland, there was a speech of world leaders. And the Canadian Prime Minister, his name is Mark Carney. Go online, go on YouTube, and go listen to his speech. And the discussion on his speech is incredible. Probably one of the greatest speeches ever given by leaders in the world, or certainly in the last 20 or 30 years. But the one main aspect that I could tell you about this speech is he talked about the middle nations. Like, you got the big nations, China and the US and Russia and so on and so forth. But all of our middle nations is us. Often we can't do it on our own. We need to build partnership with people, and we need to find ways to bring people together and to camps and conferences like this and so on. And so to me, the speech is not long. It's breathtaking, but I think it represents what we want to do as coaches. We can't do it on our own. We all know it's a 50-meter pool. Backstroke flag at 5 meters everywhere. It's the same pool around the world, or 25 meters. I know some of you guys train in the ocean and in rivers, but at the end, what we do is we're going to try to inspire kids to be better tomorrow than today. One of my little point, again, a bit later is, a lot of people talk about perfection. We need to be perfect. We don't need to be perfect. You know, sometimes we need to get things done instead of waiting until they're perfect. That's number one. Number two, excellence is every day we're better tomorrow, and we're better than yesterday. That's what excellence is, and that's the business we're in. We're in the business of creating excellent people for our countries, and whether they win Olympic medals, and like again, I got so many cool things. I think cool things to talk to you about, but remember, there's 8 billion people that live in the world, and there's only 36 gold medals at the Olympics. So when countries talk to me about we want to win Olympic gold medals, we want to do this, we want to do that, let me tell you, this is not just about winning gold medals. This is about having people active, loving their environment. That's why my presentation is about creating an environment for performances, not creating an environment for high performance, because there's no high performance and low performance and medium performance. What we do is about doing the things right. And it is what it is. It is about, if a kid's ready to be, and I'm going to bring up a point because I got affected by it, but if a kid says, I want to be an Olympic champion, I'm not sure we want to say, no, you can't, because I think everybody can. They need all sorts of things, and, I've got one of my youngest son went to grade school, and he's got ADHD and all these letters attached to his name. And one of the teachers said, well, your son can't really, listen and this and that. And we're going to take him out. And well, my son now is 30 years old. He's got a family. He's extremely successful. And so my point is, there's greatness in every kid. There's greatness in every people. But we have to coach the greatness. We can't just coach what they do bad and always correct them. We have to empower them to be even better within their greatness, and not just coach down and press down. So a couple of themes for my presentation is no rock unturned. No rocks unturned in trying to help somebody be better. Like there's no, oh, well, I'm giving up on it. Like the day you give up on a kid, think about this. If one of you teachers gave up on you when you were struggling, or somebody gives up on your own children when they're struggling, let me tell you that it's heartbreaking. And so I think it's a matter of finding solutions. To me, I'm not sure you give up on people, but sometimes you give up on people after you've tried so hard because they've given up on themselves, I believe in excellence at all levels. Excellence at all levels, meaning if you're coaching an 8 and under, you got to be incredible at coaching this 8 and unders. Like the technique, keep it simple, they have fun, good body position, like excellence at all level. And the excellence at the world level is not much different than an excellence at the age group level. It's just maybe a little bit more refined, and the details that you're going to do are probably a little bit tighter. And when I was coaching in China the last few years, you're coaching to win Olympic medals, like 1/100th of a second. It comes from everywhere. So excellence at all levels, I think, to me is important. And again, you want to create dreams for people. So here's a little example. Many years ago, I was teaching federal elected officials. I started a foundation in Canada, and it was really about inspiring federal elected officials to go back to the writing when they go home on the weekends and maybe get involved with the 5-kilometer run, or there's an open water swim, and it could be the official starter. Because I feel that these people have the ability to inspire a lot of people. Well, I had a 65-year-old MP that came one day and said, Coach, I can't swim. And I can never have fun in the summer with my grandkids at the lake because I'm always worried about getting in the water. So it took me 5 lessons with her. And anyway, she was able to swim. And that summer, and she came back in September, and we met again, and she says, thanks for doing what we did in May, because it's the first time in my life that I've enjoyed my summer with my grandkids. That's a 65-year-old person. And so, whether it's an 8-year-old that's dreaming to be great or 25-year-old but I think these are all these are the purpose you wake up for. Sometimes the greatest coaches in the world are not the Olympic coaches. They're the coaches that made average kids become great or become better or loving the sport. Sometimes they're the greatest coaches. We happen to have performance or lucky or touch wood and probably inspired somebody who's 100th in the world, 15th in the world. But I go back to this excellence. Remember, excellence is about every day being better than yesterday. So my presentation we're going to talk about two topics. One is coaches and the other one is creating the environment for the performance. I'm doing it that way because without the coaches, we don't have an environment. You are the ones every day waking up going, hell, I'm going to make a difference today in your mind. What can I make better than yesterday as a coach or as a teacher? And I think these are the things that inspire the importance of coaches in the day-to-day basis. I've always wanted to write an article about teaching school like coaching sports. Because coaching sports, you create challenges every day. Can we kick faster than yesterday? Less stroke. Can you imagine if you say to a class of, third grade, okay, we're going to learn 5 new words every week. Let's find those words and let's try to learn where they are, So to me, that's what coaches do. And I'm going to kind of cover coaching a lot because that's my passion. When I was the CEO of Swimming Canada, I would tell the board of directors of a lot of clubs, like, you got to help your coaches. If you're not inspiring, if you're not supporting your coaches to do with their magic, well, we have just paper pushers. And I'd rather have a great coach that's not so good at paper pushing, and hopefully that coach will get some support or get the board to help them with whether it's budget or so on and so forth. But you guys are really important to me. And whenever I swim in Canada, I'd say that the boards, they kind of look at me like, well, yeah, but I'm a lawyer or I'm a this and I'm a that. And I go, yeah, well, I know. But we're making a difference in a kid's life every day, 30 kids' life, 100 kids' life. So I think it's cool. And then the environment, to have a great environment is about making everybody feel they're part of something special on your team. And from there, great athletes will come out. I've had clubs say to me, well, because I'd say, well, do you have everything you need? And they go, well, if we have a Michael Phelps, we'll have everything we need. And I go, well, no, you'll never find the Michael Phelps of the world or Summer McIntosh of the world if the environment is not ready to support them. So to me, the environment that you do so that, the least gifted athlete on your program feels special, as well as the potential national team members, then you've created a place where there's no bullying, where there's a lot of fun, and even the best athletes feel like they're part of something special. And no swimmers can do it on their own anyway. They need a team of people around them, the funny people and the hard workers and the this and that. So for me, at the end, you can't talk about performance without talking about environment, and you can't talk about performance and environment without talking about coaches making a difference. There's a quote that I've seen many years ago, and it's the concept of empowering people versus coaches' power over people. And so to me, a lot of sports are basketball, you're coaching, the coach's eyes are with the athletes, or the athletes are taller. A lot of sports you're on the ground, but swimming, you're on top of the athletes looking down at them. It could be intimidating for the swimmers are looking up, coach, and yeah, okay. And because then you feel like there's power over you. There's no eye-to-eye contact. That's why I think even that's important when you coach, to go down to the level on the pool deck on one knee when you talk to somebody, and not just taught from the top. But the concept of the coaching that's important to me is, are you coaching like you would want your children to be coached by you? Like, would you go, wow, like I like this coach, or he's great for my kids, if you were that coach? And I would say the same thing for teachers. Like, can you teach these kids like you'd want your own children to be taught? So I think, to me, it is how you manage that concept. Coaching is teaching. It's not just about, I don't even like the word coaching, but it's not just about training. It's about teaching skills that are appropriate for each of the levels. So we've got 20-year-old that will listen and hear and learn different way than an 8-year-old. That's okay. Just coach. Like, a 20-year-old needs to be coached, and a 10-year-old needs to be coached, and a 17. Even within a big group, you manage a group, and you teach different levels for different lanes, put a different expectation. So I was in Hong Kong many years ago, and I saw this shirt on somebody that says, "The power of love will always beat the love of power." And I'd say this, like I'd say, if I put my 5-year-old or my 10-year-old or my 15-year-old or my 65-year-old granddad into a program for learning to this, or like, I want him to feel like somebody's really special. Like when you're meeting somebody one-on-one and they're looking at you eye to eye, and you feel like, wow, like there's 50 people around you and it looks like all the attention is to me, So let's keep that in mind. The power of love is always better than the love of power. And you have to love what you're doing. You have to love the people you're doing. I remember many years ago, I was listening to a show in LA and Los Angeles, and the principal of a school said, well, my teachers don't all have teaching certificate, but they have 3 requirements. One is they have to love themselves and feel comfortable with who they are, so that they're not using what they do to prove themselves. Number 2, they have to love what they're doing. They have to love, get up, get ready, get excited, because they're trying to inspire kids. And the 3rd one, fake it till you make it. Like, smile all the time, or smile a lot. Like, even on bad days, when you put smiles on your face, it inspires other people. That was the 3 rules that she had as a principal. So if you could think about making a difference every day to somebody, then you're in the right job. You're about, making a big difference. What I would say to you, though, is when somebody is with you going, oh, wow, like, this is really cool. You're a teacher, like, or you're a coach. What do you believe in? And you need to have like this elevator pitch, guy. You've got like 20 seconds. Say, well, you know what? I think, to me, it's about creating a great environment. I'm all about teaching kids incredible technique, inspiring them, finding ways to get them to do things they never thought about doing. Because remember, a world record is only somebody's best time. So we're not doing anything else than breaking somebody else's best time. So my point about earlier, or even now, is somebody's best time is their own personal world record. And I think we have to acknowledge that. It's not so much they come in and go, Coach, I did best time. And you go, yeah, but you didn't do your turn properly, and you didn't streamline. And to me, it's about, that was awesome. Like, this is incredible. You just went your world personal record. Okay, there's probably things we need to work on. We could do that at training, but well done. Let's get ready for the next one, or vice versa. Okay, it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. You probably, made a mistake or 2 because they didn't do the best time, for example. And so remember, I'm going to go back to a couple of points. Remember, swimming is your tool to inspire people. And so you are swimming. You are your nation. Without you, there's no Olympians. There's no world records. You are the person that will break the university record. You're the person that will break the school records. And so, to me, you have to understand that there's responsibility with what you're doing. You're not just going to work. And if it is what you're doing, you're just going to work. Well, I think, please understand that you are making a difference in kids' lives. And I think that's to me where it's kind of fun to get up. You just kind of, wow, like maybe one of these kids will be ready to hear me properly today and will really, make a difference for themselves. I want them to go home with their parents saying, I can't wait for tomorrow. I don't want them to go home and go, oh, coach is always on my back and this and that. And I'm not perfect, but I'm trying really hard. So I think that's one. And so when you make a difference in somebody's lives, it could be really exciting. The other one is school sport around the world. And I could tell you about Canada and when I was in Australia, school sport is the one place where every kid has the right to play sport, because there's no really coaching fees. There's no really, that's where everybody, regardless of their ability to pay, could do sport. The other thing is, keep remembering, swimming is one of the few sports that saves lives also. It's not just about doing laps. It's about enjoying kayaking and sailing and going to people's backyard pool or going to the beach and your parents allowing you to get a little bit further down the river. And I think, to me, swimming is the one sport that saves lives. And actually, by the way, is actually a lot of fun too. There's a quote that always comes back to me all the time is, the job of a child is to play. Let's keep this in mind. So when we coach, we're not corporate people. We're inspiring. We're getting kids to play with their medium, which is water. And play means all sorts of things. Play doesn't mean just to splash water. Play means to break challenges and be part of a team that's really cool to be at, and so on and so forth. So, to me as a coach, the country has history, your school has history, but your job today, because today is the first day of the rest of your life, today is your job to create your future history. So what are you going to do to inspire my children or my grandkids? What are you going to do to inspire your brother, your sister's children to be great again, or continue to be great? So to me, that's what I feel the coaches are important for. People say, well, I've got 30 years experience. And I go, yeah, well, that's good. Now, is it 30 years repeating the same year? Or is it 30 years because you learned through 30 years of what to do right or what to do wrong? And maybe the only reason I've got the ability to speak to you today is because I made so many mistakes the last 40 years that I'm just learn for more mistakes that I've made than you have at this point in time. I certainly don't have all the stories to tell you that makes everybody go fast. And I've tried in many ways. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I'm certainly still waking up today trying to be better than I was yesterday. Remember, we have 20, 30, or 40 years of coaching in front of us. The kids that we coach don't have 30, 40, or 50 years ahead of them. Their windows of opportunities is really small, 5, 10, 3 years. And so, those years for them is really important. For us, it could have been 15 years we've done it and we keep repeating the same thing. But for them, they've never heard it before. And so for them, what you're saying to them is brand new to them, even if you repeated it many times before. So there's a great book called The Fish Philosophy. And the Fish Philosophy is about keep remembering that every new customer needs to hear the basics again and again and again. And you have to get as excited about, selling your product on the first time with these new customers, like the new 8 years old or the new parents that got involved in your club or so on. So, keeping it simple, the KISS rule, keep it simple, stupid, I think is important. simple with your board, simple with new administrators, simple with new families. Just keep the basics and keep them inspired. Let me go through a couple of things that I think is important for coaches. Get off your phone when you coach. I think to me it's crucial. You would never accept the school teachers from your kids to be teaching also being on the phone. Like, get off your phone. You have 2 hours, 1 hour. They need your attention. If you ever go to a lawyer for business, their phone is not even on the table. Their attention is to you. So I think to me it's a huge change in the coaching from 20, 30, or 40 years ago. A lot of coaches are on their phone. The only time I've got access to a phone that's on a table somewhere is when I want to do recording for one-on-one work. But get off your phone, please. Get off your phone, please. Get off your phone, please. Number 2, be ethical. It's crucial because your parents that are lending you these kids are wanting an incredible, safe environment for the children where they're inspired and where they feel not bullied and where they feel they're part of something special. Please, 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 again, be ethical in your approach. Be passionate because you're making a difference. It's huge to me. You're making, and you're going to have a great team if you get up and you're excited about trying to make a difference today, even at minus 30. You need to be part of helping the facility be better. You're not just there and the lifeguard needs to do this and lifeguard. You need to be able to get, the backstroke flags up. You need to be part of that. You need to help make sure that the pool is clean if it needs to. You need to make sure that people around the facility feel part of something special. You're coaching them, but it's kind of cool. The lifeguard, you're talking to the lifeguard saying, hey, thanks for your work and this and that. I remember in Australia, even the front desk lady, because in Australia, when I was coaching, the media would come into the pool all the time wanting to interview with the swimmers. And I go like, no interview. So the front desk lady would say to the media, they'll come in, stop, you can't come in. Like she was my wall. So I could just coach, So I think to me, these are important things. The facility, remember, like I was just in Azerbaijan for 3 months and people were swimming pools that were 18 meters and 22 meters and the backstroke flags were here and there. You know what? They swam. The little kids were having a fun time. You could hear the cacophony, the noise and all the kids. That's when you know that you're doing a good job. The best example of this, again, my youngest son was doing cross-country skiing in Canada, and it was minus 22 one day, and I had to drive him to training. And I remember telling him, Mark, you really want to go? It's like minus whatever. And he goes, yeah, Dad, I want to go. So I'm driving him to the training. And, like I said, minus 22 outside. I opened the door, and I could hear like 30, 11, 12-year-old screaming and yelling, playing football, with skis on. Now, all I could remember was, my goodness, this coach is doing a great job with these kids. Friday night, 12-year-old wants to go to training. That's magical. And I keep remembering that all the time. You need to innovate. Like, to me, half the time that I coach, I think about tomorrow. What am I going to do tomorrow that's different than today? But also, is there things that nobody's ever done that I could do better? Like, I'll talk to you a bit later about hosting meets. Think about, is it coaching or working harder than anybody else? Because these kids need the best of you. Today, they need to be inspired by you, and tomorrow they will also. And so, please think about when you're driving to work or you're driving to coaching, think about the concept that, okay, I want to be the first one at the pool. I want to welcome all these kids in. This is what makes great coaches. The kids feel like, I can't wait to get to the pool, and not like, oh man, not again. And so, you're making a huge difference. Remember that you're not just, you're not just showing up to work. That's not what you're doing. I keep saying this to people all the time. Like, I get up even now every day with running shoes on my feet because I want to run to go and make a difference. I don't sleep with running shoes, but I mean the image is like, I still want to get up and have a go, because who knows? There's a little quote I saw. It says, keep, drop, innovate. Keep the good things that you've learned today. Drop the things that are getting in your way for success, and think about innovating. Like Velcro is innovation, and AI is innovation. Like, you can't just keep doing the same thing all the time, because it's been done by people for the last 50 years. So try to find ways within your world, within your country, that nobody else is doing. Or, and they talk about, stealing ideas. I don't believe in stealing ideas. I believe in learning from ideas and maybe adapting it to your reality.
100 years ago, I was a Scottish national coach. And I used to go around the tracks of Scotland working with coaches. And every now and again, a little girl from this town or that town would turn up, and you hear a little voice. And I'd be working away and hear the voice going, Mr. Dick! Well, with a name like mine, you don't turn around too fast because you don't know what's going to be said next, So, Mr. Dick! Yes? Will you coach me? Well, yeah, but not at the moment because I'm working with these people. Will you coach me later? Yes, fine. When? Look, when I'm finished with them, I'll come and work with you. When's that? Look, sit down in the stand. When I'm finished with them, I promise I'll come and work with you. Promise? Yeah, see ya. Fine. Now, after I finish working with you, I'll work with her. She's 9 years of age and she wants to go to run 100 meters. And I work with her for a few weeks. She goes to her first race. She lines up with another 7 kids. On your march. Set. Bang. Runs down the track. Hurls herself at the line. 8th out of 8. In 18 seconds. And comes back. Oh, Mr. Dick, I was last. No, you weren't last. Yes, I was. No. You were 18 seconds. What do you mean? Well, you've smashed the 20-second barrier. And I had you down for 19 seconds. You're a whole second faster than that. Do you know what this means? No. This means it's your lifetime best performance. Your own personal world record. Really? Yes. And in some ways you're a first. What do you mean? You're the first athlete I've ever coached who's run 18 seconds for the 100 meters. Now listen, in a few weeks' time, she's got another race. What does she think winning is now? If she does 17.9, she'll grab a flag and she'll run around the track. Because that's what winning is. Winning is being better today than you were yesterday. Every day. And if she keeps on working at that, in a few weeks' time, she's fighting with other kids to get to the line. And you might think to yourself, well, surely winning now, Frank, is beating them. Not if it's in 19 seconds, it's not. Or we've killed our definition. The reason you go into tough arenas in life is to be challenged to perform better. You cannot perform better if you're not challenged. Listen, you don't learn to climb mountains in life by going round them or asking somebody for a ladder. You learn to climb mountains by climbing mountains, by seeking out the really toughest challenges, because that makes you perform better. When you keep on going at that, one day you'll be a one and only. But the truth is, she always was, is, and will be.
So, Mark, I don't know if you remember, we worked together, I coached at the Phoenix Swim Club for a few years. 20 of them were. Anyway, so there's an episode of Netflix here, or I think it's now maybe on something else. It's called Ted Lasso. And if you ever have a chance to Google Ted Lasso on leadership, which is kind of a cool little thing, let me tell you the 12 Ted Lasso lessons on leadership. And it's a great show because it shows the person as a coach, not the coach as a tyrant, but somebody who's going to try to really make a difference in people's lives. There's different ways to coach, I'm sure, but respect of the human being, I think, is one that's crucial in our world. The Ted Lasso leadership lessons are this: believe in yourself, number one. A bit like this lady in LA who was a school principal. Doing the right thing is never the wrong thing. All right. Sometimes, you got to go there, but doing the right thing is never the wrong thing. All people are different people. They will respond to leadership differently. See good things in others. Empower people. Vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. You are not perfect. And it's okay to go, you know what? I think I screwed that one up. Whoa, guys, will be better next time. Tell the truth. These kids are intelligent, way more than I don't know if it's intelligent, but way more informed than we were when we were young. Winning is an attitude. Winning is not coming in first. Winning is being better than yesterday. Optimism do more than anything in the world, because, optimism is about what's possible. Stay coachable, teachable, because we're teachers. Get your own children to be teachable. Be a goldfish. The goldfish takes 7 seconds to forget issues. And I think sometimes we have to do that. We can't dwell on things. You go take it on and say, okay, what can I learn from this, and move on from there. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is a choice. And one that I would add to any of these things is make somebody better today than yesterday. Every day makes somebody better. Brent Rudemiller, who's a good friend that passed away a bit ago, had a quote: "Make somebody better today" on his under his name in his email. And I think it is what it is. Like somebody got inspired because of what you're doing today. In our world of coaches, and I'm going to get into the performances. In our world of coaches, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Plan doesn't mean that everything is written and you get stuck to every point. Our world has to be flexible a little bit. And yes, you could plan the workout, but if things change, they change. Just adapt it, because some kids today can't do it and some kids today can. So, I would say inspire, try to help people get to their goal, but don't always coach like they're going to failure every time. Like they need to come home and go, wow, like I got better at kicking today, or I did one stroke less, or coach told me I did a great job. So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, which is, as a national body, I would create an 8-year rolling plan from 2 Olympics to 2 Olympics. Because remember, the 16-year-old today in Brisbane in 2032 will be 23 years old. So what's the plan to inspire this guy or this girl for the next 7 years to be Olympic finalists, for example, or to represent your country as a country? So to me, plan, I think is the key. So you are the coach. You need responsibility. You have to take responsibility that you create the environment and that it matters. And so you got to be awake when you're there coaching for 2 hours. Like I mentioned, it's a pet peeve of mine now with these coaches on the phones. It just drives me nuts because, sometimes your eyes are the kid's technique. And you can't coach at the surface. You got to coach underwater, walking up and down the pool, not just be at the end and, 1 foot on the starting blocks and coaching from there. Like you need to use your hands, and you need to watch and look underwater windows, but look underwater to see, are their hands deep enough, or, anyway. So the other thing I talked to you about creating this now, about this performance, is this. Daily performances is what you want to do. But just remember, as a country, I'll speak to you as Canada right now, but Canada's got 50,000 swimmers. Only 30 make the Olympic Games. Maybe 4 or 5 might have a chance to touch the medal. So there's still 49,970 swimmers that will never make the Olympic Games, but need to have a magnificent, memorable experience on our sport. That's what you're coaching. And when the environment is great, these kids will go at 40 years old, say, I'm going to give back to my club, or I get my kids in the club. So that's why you're coaching. You're not coaching just the talent. You're coaching the 49,970 that are just going to have a memorable time because of you. Not only because of the water, because of your teammate, because of the environment you created. So keep remembering this. The experience that we create is going to be part of their lives. And for so many of you that were swimmers and coaches, people remember their best friends from 40 years ago when they were swimming with them. And then they bump into them at the World Masters Championship 30 years later, and then all of a sudden they're friends again. So that's what we want to create. You want to create growth, and you want to create future coaches, and you want to create volunteers and fundraisers and club president. That's what you're doing every day through your swimming program. One of the things that happened when I was in Australia, which is really cool, you think it's easy to coach Olympic people or national world championship people. Well, in a 40-year span in Australia, there was 66 coaches that ever put kids on world championships or Olympic. They got rings. They get these really cool rings. And so, for some of us, we'll never get there as coaches. But you are part of the story that a child or a swimmer going to the Olympic Games could go. I remember my 8 and under coach, they were doing this, and my 12 and under coach, and my high school coach, he was so good and so cool. Like, the village that creates the performance is from the swimming lesson people all the way up to the Olympic podium. And they're all part of the story that makes somebody great. And same for you as coaches. You need mentors that help you. You need people to look up to. So to me, there's a friend of mine that said it. His name is Steve Norris, is out of Calgary. He said, you can't chase talent and only coach to get talent. You need to get average people to become world-class people. Make average kids great. That was his quote. So if any of you are considering this dream, there's 903 days to the Olympics in LA. As of today, 903 days left. 903 ways to inspire a swimmer to be better. 1% a day better will be 900% better. It would be pretty good. For those 16-year-old or 14-year-old that be 21 or 23 in 2032, there's actually 2,374 days if you're counting. And again, your ability to change, inspire, move, build technique is there. And if I keep remembering building technique, just remember, for all of us, underwater fly kick is now technique number 5, stroke number 5. In short course, it's worth 60% of the distance, underwater fly kick. So don't not coach it. It is part of the program. And I remember in 2004, when I was in Australia, that was one of the goals. We talked about this. We're only going to be, if we're not really good because we weren't very good underwater, well, in 1 year we'll be a lot better. And so, excellence is about every day. The other thing about creating an environment, keep remembering that there's only 850 swimmers at the Olympics. 850 swimmers at the Olympics out of 8 billion. Only 35 events, only 35 gold medals available. So I go back to your point. All the kids that you're coaching need to remember that it was memorable, regardless of whether they went to the Olympics or not. In the US, for example, there's 700,000 swimmers approximately. 52 made the Olympic team. You know what that means? 0.0053% of swimmers make the Olympics. So the high school program and the college program and the club and the swimming lessons, to me, that's what I think is important. The other thing that we're talking about is the corporate world today are looking for athletes like swimmers because they know how to win, they know how to lose, they know how to fight, they know how to be teammates, they know how to be great leaders. So again, I go back, create the environment where there's respect, teammanship, where they're aiming at new goals. They're looking forward to things because of what you created. I remember when I was in Atlanta in 1996, it was September 1995. I took the whole team. We had, I think 400 or 500 swimmers at Dynamo then. And we went and team run the 5K around the Olympic Village. And we got to run the 5K. I had parents coming. We had all our shirts. We did a team cheer before. And we ran to the track, and then we ran this, and we finished at the pool. And I told everybody, bring a little container, and we're going to go and get Olympic pool water. And so they all, after the run, they all went to the pool. They put this filler with Olympic pool water, and we went back to our Dynamo pool and all dumped that Olympic water into our pool. And the concept was, we're part of something magical in Atlanta, but now we have Olympic water in our pool. And that was the year with Eric Wunderlich and Carlton Brunner made the Olympic team, and it was magical. Now they were swimming from Michigan at that time, and John Urbanchek, but they're part of our story. They're part of being a Dynamo swimmer and all the skills that you do. Again, creating the environment. In Australia, I had a cleaning lady called Pauline, and she asked. Just remember this. We'd swim at 5:30 in the morning. She asked her boss if she could come into the pool at 4:30 to clean the locker room of the swimmers so that when they come in at 5, it looked really sharp. And when I came back from the Olympic that year, she wrote me a poster on my computer when I got home in my office. It says, "Thank you very much for making me feel part of your team, Pauline." To me, that's making a difference in the world through our platform. And, and the same concept, if you're a national team member or if you're an Olympian, once an Olympian, always an Olympian. And people go, "Oh, wow, you went to the Olympics. Oh, cool." And some people get tattoos and this and that. But as a person, once an Olympian, always Olympian, and you can make a difference. And again, I go back. Michael Klim started a swim lesson program, and Justin Norris started a swim school. You've got in your hands, you've got the ability to change the world and to save lives. One of the quotes that I use a lot that I think it's important to me is, it's not who wins, but who wins with you. So one of the things I ask coaches in my clubs and my program, and even in Canada when I was the national coach, is, are you sending a note to the principal of a school saying, "Thanks for letting these kids leave school Friday because we had a swim meet. And by the way, they did really well. Like Johnny did this and Johnny and Joanne did that." And all of a sudden the principal feels that he's part of the story of your club. Do they get the newsletter? How about the federal elected official, the mayor of your community, the pool manager? Hey, listen, these are the 3 kids that swam this weekend and did really well. Thank you very much. How many people feel special with you? One of the things that I do still today, if I'm involved in a pool or in a community, I get a bottle of wine, and all the kids that went to the Olympics or World Championships or did something, signed it, and I give it at Christmas to the mayor of the community, saying, "Hey, thanks. You guys make a difference. You're allowing us to get to the pool early. The pool is really clean," whatever, find a way to get people involved with you. One of the things at Swimming Canada, when I took it over, on the website, in the history of each of the swimmers, like I mentioned earlier, we had the swim school that somebody went to, all the coaches, all the way up to the national coach that coached them to the Olympics. And at the swim school, we sent a plaque saying, "Thank you very much. You are part of Brett Hayden's story into the Olympics bronze medal." Because all of a sudden now they go "Wow, I'm part of something special. Maybe I'm going to do even better for you next time." So creating the environment is not about creating people. It's about swimmers. It's about creating world-class people. And I know we're not talking about here's a special set and here's how much kick do I do? By the way, 25% of all my workouts were kicking. It's about creating the environment for the magic to happen. You create magic. And but there's responsibility that comes with it. You just can't show up. You're also, if you're into music, you're also the chef d'orchestre, the maestro in the front that make the violin go with the tubas. And that means everything from working with the board, working with the nutritionist, working with strength conditioning, working with the young kids, inspiring your assistant coaches. Like, you manage everything. With that will come magic with your club. And I could tell you, I ran the Phoenix Swim Club, which is from all the places I've ever coached, that was probably one of the most magical places I've ever touched or been touched with. And we had great, Gary Hall Sr., Gary Hall Jr.'s father was involved. It was such a cool place to work. And so to me, that's kind of why I'm still here with you today, in terms of shortness of things, attention to technique will make your club special. So I keep going. When a parent, you're at a swim meet and a parents from another club see your club, what do they see? Like, what are the 5 things that make a difference in your program? Great team spirit. When I ran Canada for the first time at the Olympics, so we're not going to win a lot, but we got to win at something. And, in 2008 Olympics, we probably had one of the best team spirit team in the world at the Olympics, but we only won 1 medal, but we started winning things. And so when a parent from another club look at your team, they go, wow, they've got great technique, or they do good turns, or what a great team spirit they have, good clothing. Like, what are the 5 things that will separate you from everybody else, that will make your team winning? Certainly helps also, but, coaches, people see that coaches care, that they're not just sitting there on the board, on the table, and just write times, that there is relationship with the things. And I could tell you, for all older coaches, the big difference in coaching today is all about relationship. The big difference, before we could kind of go, whoa, 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 whoa. Now it's the closest of relationship. And certainly you see this at the international level, how coaches do this. There's a book called Born to Win. It was written by a guy called John Bertrand. He won the America's Cup in 1983 against a guy called Dennis Conner, American guy. First time an American that lost the America's Cup in sailing. It's a big sailing race in 149 years, I think. Anyway, his point was, once you decide that you're going to be great, everything is easy after that. And great is different everywhere. But he says, once you decide that you want to win or you want to be really good, everything's easy, because every decision you make, is it going to help me a better coach? Is it going to help my club be better? If it's not going there, then I don't do it. It clarifies the focus of your attention. If you're the last one at the pool just before workout and you run in and is that the right way to create an environment? So to me, it's a great book. You could get it on Amazon. It's out of print, but you get used books anyway. So here's all these things that I think part of innovation in your world that you could think about. And I'm bouncing everywhere because there's so many things that you can do. Sometimes just start at doing something different than what you used to do. So I've written them down here, so I'm going to go through here. So your team needs to be really good at underwater fly kick. Like, this has got to be a focus, and do it during training, during whether vertical fly kick or underwater. You need to get better at underwater fly kick. They need to swim past 6 meters underwater. That's for sure. Breaststroke requires a different approach to the sport than just swimming them in the lane with the freestylers, because they can't really take the space and they're a bit uncomfortable. So when I coach a breaststrokers in China into the Paris games, we had 2 lanes that were just for the breaststrokers for most of the time. There was room. They could do their skills. They didn't have to race the freestylers. To me, that was important. inspiring swim meets so that it's not boring. So we created dual meets and tri meets and Friday night at the races and half day morning races. So innovation in meets for your kids, so they're not stuck 4 days all the time. It kills the sport. That's why they go to football, because they have one session and play a 1 hour game, or hockey. Ice hockey for us is the same thing, you know. I created training records, 25, 50, 100, 200, 400, 500, 1,000 meter kick times. And we created team records. We had a team record board for kicking, for 850s band only, for stuff like that. I had these things called Top Gun hats, and it was a big F-18 on the cap for when people did something really, really special, whether it's in the meet or in training. It was like, wow, here's a cap. They were gold, and we had the gun on it. I started many years ago on Friday night called fin swimming. So for my 10 and unders, we would run little 1 hour swim meet with fins. I could tell you, when you have a 6-year-old doing fly with fins and they look great, the parents are in awe. And again, you're trying to sell the business, sell the job, but also it teaches good technique. Don't overuse fins, but I created this fins league within my club, and it was a lot of fun. I had a meet called the Fast and the Furious, and you know, if you're from the outside looking in, we had 50s and 75 and 100s. They're not always the same events, but you know, make special shirts for events. AI could be part of your preparation. I think there's a lot of good things. You don't want to lose that, but again, AI doesn't allow relationship. It just gives you tools. Pentathlon, where they go 25 of each stroke and a 50 and 100 IM, or 50 of each stroke and 200 IM, or 100 of each strokes, 4 IM, or 200 of each strokes and 800 IM. Again, I'm just talking to you about different things. And again, hopefully from there, you could think of other things. Friday night at the races, which was, you know, a 25 kick for the swimming lesson kids to 100 IM. And then we had a barbecue with the families once a month. And then not be boring in your annual program. Don't do the same thing every year, same meet. Change the meets, because your best swimmers will be with you for a while. They need to be challenged by this. And just know I'm running out of time here. So a few other thoughts for you. And you could go through tennis if you guys ever want to contact me. But our job is to build confidence in people. And you build confidence in people by getting them to do things they've never done in their lives. And it's not just best times. It's running a 3K. It's, all of these, the best stroke count. One of the things I used to do with the breaststrokers is how many little stroke can you do in a 50? Okay, I could do 7 strokes. Okay, well, last week you did 7. Let's try 6. I wanted these people to get out and feel like, wow. And, it takes me a long time to learn. I'm a swim coach, but my children when I was living in Australia, used to do rock climbing. And if you ever go to a rock climbing gym with your swimmers, which I think you should, they learn to climb up to here, and then they fall, and then they climb up to there, and then they fall, and then they climb up to there, and they fall. They go home and go, hey, Dad, or hey, Mom, like I did way better today than I did, earlier when I started the workout. How do you create that within your workouts? So they go, wow, like I'm much better today than I was when I got there. Know what you're looking for. Be a student of the game. Remember, a world record is only somebody's best time. AI will change culture of coaching. So learn how to do it, but don't be the only thing they use. You could learn from mentorship. I've got great mentors in my life, and I've been lucky. I will tell you that you have to take care of yourself as a person. You have to take care. You have to be, you don't have to be sick about it, but you have to be ready in the morning, awake. You You have to be active. You have to do some activity for your own health, because at the end, that's all you have, because you coach for 30 or 40 years. The people you coach are gone a long time ago, and you still have you and your family. So I think that's really important. You need to have the urgency to make a difference every day. You can't just wake up and just do the same thing. You know, to me, I think it's really important. You need to have the urgency that you're going to change the world, and you can. Like, one person could change the world. You know, you don't have to like Elon Musk, but he said something that I thought is really powerful many years ago. Set a 10-year plan and try to do as much as you can in 6 months. Like, the urgency to make a difference. Because at the end, we coach people. We're inspiring people. And you know, who knows what these people will be in 40 years or 50 years. That might be the president of your country or the prime minister of your country. But they'll have learned because of you. Here's a few good books that you should look at. First, Born to Win by John Bertrand. It's about the America's Cup 83. He would say, every time you make a decision, if you know that you want to win, the decisions are easy to make. There's a guy called Phil Jackson that coached the Chicago Bulls and LA Lakers. It's called The Zen of Coaching. It's a really good book. It's about coaching the people. And there's another book called Martin Gladwell. It's called The Tipping Point, and it's about what makes the difference between one club to the other club. Why would I want to drive with my children beside 4 clubs to go to club number 5? What makes me so special compared to the other 4? That's what you got to decide. You know, so I think that's these are, I think, to me, people that are books that are pretty cool. There's a couple of things that are worth looking into. By Glenn Mill, he's got a platform called Go Swim TV. Glenn must have thousands of videos of drills, and whether your National Association, your club, or even yourself could get a membership. There's new videos that come out every day. The videos are appropriate for 12-year-olds to 12-year-olds, for 17-year-olds to 7. Like, you're not showing a Michael Phelps video for 8-year-old. You know, they're appropriate for each of the group. It's a great thing. Wayne Goldsmith, Australian sports psychologist, has great speeches and great lectures. I think it's really cool. And, you know, in today's world, that when we were young, we never have access to, there's so much online that you could learn. You know, whether it's strength conditioning, whether it's coaching drills, whether it's listening to another coach. Bob Bowman has, you know, as from Texas now, has always great things to say, and I think it's cool to watch. So, to me, thanks for the opportunity. I'm 3 minutes over time. It's a passionate life when you do a life of coaching. There's bumps on the road. There's everything else, and often you get late in life and you're kind of alone. That's why you need to kind of build your families. I think that's all you have at the end. Your family, your friends, your sibling, your children. So don't just coach and forget everybody else. You know, remember that your family is going to be the one left for you, and I think they need to know that you love them as much as you love your passion, and maybe you love them more than that. So thanks, Dennis. Great things. And you know, I'm blessed to be here today. Thank you very much. Go swimming, go.
Anybody who wants to ask question, you can open your mic. Then you can ask question now. This is
I could, Dennis, I could give you the name. Well, I'll send you my presentation anyway, and the name of the book's in there. So somebody's saying, can we have the I don't really have a link. I just have Amazon that's got a great book. Another book from Bob Steele called The Game and Gimmicks of Swimming. He's got great games for kids and great sets from Olympians. It's a good book too. The name of the book is Somebody said it's called Born to Win, The Tipping Point. Let me see here.
The Zen of Coaching.
The Zen of
by
Coaching.
Phil Jackson.
Yeah. You have any more, Marks?
Well, I was taking notes as you were speaking. Thank you very much. Yeah, I loved all of your references. So, Coach, tell us a little bit. What are you doing these days? What are your challenges? In the weeks to come. Where are you set up?
So I live in Ottawa now. I just came back from Azerbaijan for a 3-month stint trying to help with the national team. In between my stunt in China, which I finished in December 2024, I had a year of in and out. I went to India and helped their Olympic program for a month. I enjoyed sailing in Canada for all summer long. But right now, for example, next week I'm in Phoenix to give a coaching clinic in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm helping a bunch of clubs in Ottawa now. Like, I don't really have a home base in terms of Olympic program, but I could tell you, by the way, honestly though, what's really cool is I'm like this morning after this, I'm going to rush out of here and go see my grandson play hockey. He's 7 years old, ice hockey. So I'm kind of doing this too. I would like to stay involved in international swimming till 2028. And who knows, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Thanks for the question, by the way. And hopefully you're doing well.
Yep, we are. So what about coaching today with the youngsters, a younger profession, and how do we grow the profession of coaching? And I'm a little bit worried about some of these safe sports and the gotcha things and trying to keep coaches protected and safe from some bad actors. Do you have any feelings or thoughts of that?
It's a very good point. I think it's actually good that the approach to coaching is much more human than it was when we were young. I do think that there's an overreaction of things. It's going to come down, but we do have an issue with safe sports. That was my point. I don't know if you remember, my original point on the front end was be ethical in your approach every day. You be not only ethical, but think about how you're going to approach somebody's kid if it was your kid and how you would want it. I think it's quite different than it used to be 40 years ago. But to me, I do think that it's important. There's a lot of safe sport aspect. I know in the U.S. when I got to Canada in 2005, I remember talking to Chuck Weigus, and Chuck said that, well, you could use anything you want from us because we're excited to have you next door, and if you're getting better, we're going to get better. And they were starting safe sports there, so we kind of started that in Canada, I think there's learning to it, but I can't imagine in today's world that a coach will go and cross the line. I think it's yes, challenging. I think people respond to different things in different ways. I think you need to be wise in your approach to coaching, and you have to maybe not fly off the handles as much as we used to just because we get overexcited. So I guess I'm not answering your question, except that I think people need to think a little bit more on their approach. I don't know if you made silly things like I did in coaching, but I remember I was coaching 8 and unders in the 70s, and I got really excited, and I got all the 8 and unders lined up at the end of the pool, and I taped their legs so they could do fly with their legs together instead of fly like this, And then they dove in, and they got to the wall in the deep end, and they couldn't kick themselves up. So I had to dive in, rescue these kids, and stop the other ones from diving. And I'm not sure we could do all these things today because maybe our parents would complain, but nothing happened other than the fact that I go, maybe that wasn't the best way to coach butterfly kick. Maybe there's a better way to do it. I would also say for coaches, please get yourself some mentors. Get people to help you become a great coach, because you make a difference in kids' lives. And so being a great coach has been passionate, but also being wise in how you're dealing with coaches. And they wouldn't be any different than school teachers. If school teachers lose their behavior, they wouldn't be school teachers for very long. So I think these are the things that I would certainly do. I know a few years ago I was coaching a little club here before I went to China, and parents question you a lot more. And why were you hard on my son? I go, well, this and this and this, and I think there's a lot of explanation, but I certainly hear it's not. I don't want to say it's not easier. I think it's important that we are in the environment that we are today, creating a safe place for kids, and with that we have to be better people, better coaches, and create a better environment. Like bullying on your team should never be acceptable, and because sometimes the worst kid on your team could become the greatest guy in the world tomorrow, and he needs to feel like he's special. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure I answered that, but it's a good point.
And we always take time for a group photo. And when you're in person at the meetings, you can ask your questions either via chat or in face-to-face.
Pierre Lafontaine is actually our consultant, UCSSC consultant, official consultant. So he will be on the posters and on the certificates most of the time now. Coach, again, thank you so much. We don't have the right words to say thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, Coach Mark, thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
Coach,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you, thank you,
Thank you so
Thank you.
much,
Thank you.
Coach.
thank you,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Very
thank
guys.
you.
inspiring. Thank you, Coach Pierre. Thank you, Coach Mark,
Thank
Coach
you,
God
thank
Danny,
bless
and
you.
everyone. Thank you and good
thank
night.
you po. Good
Thank you
night.
po. Thank you, coaches.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, guys.
coaches.
Thank you, thank you. Coach Docs, thank you.
Thank you, coaches.
Coach Edmond, thank you. Coach Nick, thank you.
Thank you,
Coach
Coach
Nick, thank
Dennis.
you.
I don't know if anybody here knows what CrossFit is, but it's
Okay.
kind of a strength program where they do these challenges every week for their people. And I just see the little note here from Mark, and I think Mark, you're 100% there. We used to have you. I'm not even sure if you remember. We used to have fax meets. Well, I'd held Friday night, 4 events in my pool, and I'd fax it to somebody else and try to beat my kids. CrossFit, I've always thought it would be a good idea for us to, if we have a group like this, to have challenges every week or 2 weeks saying, for example, 50 kick for time. And let's rank everybody. Everybody sends their times. We rank everybody the next week, and everybody has, or like I said, 8-100 on 2 minutes, best average. And again, rank people like this. Try to find ways, whether we do those swim meets, but I think deciding maybe 12 events or 12 things that's 24 weeks, every 2 weeks we put on the table, and if we set it up so that people know what it is for 24 weeks, they could kind of set up their workouts. Maybe Friday night we'll go 50 kick for time, or 200 kick for time, or 400 best average. So that might be something that we could consider doing. And I'm also helping a little region here called PEI, Prince Edward Island. It's only got 2 clubs, but we've been doing this within the 2 clubs to help have faster kick and have, how many chin-ups can you do, and so on and stuff like that. So that might be something we want to consider.
January, that we are actually aiming for the start of the online games, okay, which is the online swimming best times, okay, for all of the teams. Kenya just told me that they wanted the virtual meet, okay, so I think we can do that. Okay? Do you have an online games in swimming
No,
before?
no, not in Canada.
Yeah.
Just in my,
chat.
just a little group of people that I was working with,
Uh-huh. Eric, do you have the full idea of the online games?
No, coach, no, I don't have any idea. But
Okay,
when
okay.
Coach Mark mentioned it, I was like, it can be interesting to
Yes,
maybe
yes.
experience one. Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's call it a night. We're gonna be giving information. Okay, we'll just try to communicate with each other.
So we want you to tune in to the website wafsu.org. That's the World Aquatic Federation of Schools and University. Now we're switching the name a little bit so that it's more than just aquatic. We're going to change that A word to athletic. So it'll be the World Athletic Association of Schools and Universities. But wafsu.org has a archive and a course that has all of our prior seminars. And this one, obviously, is part of it. I believe you probably found that at wafsu.org. So our prior seminars have some excellent materials, and it's certainly worth your exploring. On second point is a podcast that I run called Heavy or Not, the OG Swim Guide. Pierre Lafontaine is certainly an OG. He's an original gangster. I'm just an old guy. But we want you to tune in and subscribe to the podcast. Heavy or Not, you can get it Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So I'd greatly appreciate it if you follow that podcast, because parts of our seminars end up in the podcast as well. Hopefully we'll be able to build some virtual challenges, and we're going to have a year's worth of excellent seminars ahead of us, and there's some fabulous seminars that have already been in the past that are in our archives at wafsu.org. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll hopefully see you at the pool someday soon.